It was the night of Christmas Eve, and I'm spending it drinking beer and recording new series for YouTube. Hi guys, this is Crossy of Eclipse Gaming TV, and welcome to my new series, subbing in for Sami with Brighton Hove Albion on FM 2015. And you might be asking, why Brighton? Well, a couple of reasons. One, I don't think there's anyone really out there doing a Brighton series on 2015 yet, so gotta try and get in there first. And number two, I was sort of thinking about Sami Hyppia, who's retired. Resigned, offered his resignation and left the club very recently at Brighton after putting them just above the relegation zone. And it makes me wonder, because they've gone through a few managers in a fairly short space of time, Brighton. And as a bit of a heads up for you guys, my sort of season expectations are to be competitive, get a respectable league position, get sort of round about the region of the playoffs, but not even needing to get a playoff spot. So it's not like it's a huge requirement or a tough ask that the board are putting on me. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. And I've also had a little look at the squad of players and thought, you know what, I can probably do something with that. And another great thing about Brighton as a club is if they do go and progress, they've got a 30,000 seater stadium, the American Express Community Stadium, I think it is, if you use the proper name, up in Falmer. And I've been to it. It's a really nice stadium, as you'd expect. The only thing with it is there's no real character. It's all poured concrete and plastic. But you do get some nice padded seats, which are a godsend when you're sitting in one place for an hour and a half, if nothing else. So the infrastructure's there if they do progress and get to the high levels. As I say, they've got a good starting squad from what I can see, which I was sort of looking forward to working with. And I haven't made too many changes to it. To be honest, I had a look at the squad that I was given and I thought, yeah, a few areas need some tweaking to be made. But aside from that, I've pretty much left it alone, bought a couple of names in. One of them won't be joining us until January, but is extremely exciting. So I'm kind of contemplating not doing every single game and just skipping to January as quickly as we can, but we'll see how it progresses. Any feedback on this, things you'd like me to see and play around with, by the way, then please let me know. I'm going to just keep an eye on the clock here, and I'll start by giving you a run through of the squad that I'm going to be running into the season with, and if I get time I will play one game as well. If not, then chances are there might be a Christmas Day treat for you guys, providing I can find time to get that recorded tonight. It's definitely not going to be bothering with that tomorrow. But let's get straight to it. I'll show you right off the bat the very exciting signing. Martin Odegaard will be joining us from... I'm not even going to try and pronounce that team name. Blew all of my £3 million transfer budget on him, but as I say, no real issues with the squad, so I was happy enough to do that. This is the player that we are picking up, so already got some fairly impressive looking stats in a few areas. Dribbling and first touch are good. Passing is decent already. Long shots is decent. Technique at 15. Already very good mental stats. Pace is the only thing that this guy hasn't really got. And also versatile, can play on the right wing, central midfield, or attacking central midfield. And attacking central midfield is something that I've used sporadically through various series that you guys might have seen. So if I do have to switch to that kind of setup, I'm sure I can make it work. But yeah, he's going to be joining us from the 1st of January 2015. I think the reason for that is that players can't leave their clubs in Norway until they hit 16. They can't officially be transferred from then, and I think that happens in between the two transfer windows, which is why we have to sit around and wait until January. But managed to get him. He's also going to cost me about £20,000 a week in wages as well, because he didn't want to come to us whatsoever. But strangely enough, at age 16, if you put the money on the table, things are going to happen. But he's got -10 potential. For those of you that properly get into Football Manager, you'll know what that means. But in simplistic terms, we've got a player that could develop into being an absolute machine. potentially. But again, we've seen it happen multiple times where players have got big futures ahead of them, and it just doesn't work out that way. Freddie Adu, anyone? Going back a little way. But I think it was Championship Manager, or it might have been the very early Football Managers. Everyone wanted to sign him. And from what I've seen, this lad has got the same kind of rep. From what I've seen, it pretty much says just sign him. So I've gone with the majority. But anyway, I'll give you a run through of the playing squad while we're at it. And let's get to a view that's half decent. As you can see, there's a lot of players that are up there in the 3.5, 4-star region. So got a good playing squad. For those of you that aren't experts on how the star ratings work, though, something to bear in mind, that is relative to the ability of the players that you have and your team, not relative to the ability of players in the division in general. It doesn't go into that kind of level. And of course, you've got to be wary about the scouting stats of your scouts and your coaching staff, which is where these numbers come from. So lots of things to bear in mind. I used to place way too much stock in star ratings, and I've done my research after many warnings from you guys and have learnt my lesson. But yeah, take those with a pinch of salt, and let's instead bump us to this view. Right, so what I will do is I'll take out the team that I've stuck in and then go in order of position to have a look. Also, while we're here, I'll do this first actually, is I'll show you the players that have transfer history. I'll show you the players that I've moved on. So there are a lot of players in this list that are all youth players that haven't got much of a future, that have all been shifted on. The only two players we're talking about are Kemi Augustine, the 27-year-old Dutchman. And then the thing with him is he used to be, from what I remember, pretty quick. Was at Swansea. And he's got decent numbers, but we've got so many central midfielders in the team that unless you've got someone in there that's bringing something vastly different to the table, then they're not a whole lot of use. So Augustine was kind of the weakest of the midfielders that I had available to me, and has been shifted on. And Kasper Ankergren, the 34-year-old goalkeeper, I'm not a huge fan of keeping sort of backup goalkeepers kicking around. I'd rather farm them off and spend the wages elsewhere, and instead just have a youth player sitting there on the bench. I guess the main reason for that is the series I've done on the channel almost always have had lower budgets to play with, and I've had to be a little more clever with that, and have picked up injuries as a result to goalkeepers, which is kind of proving me right, but or proving me wrong, sorry. But not going for it again here. I've offloaded the goalie, and we've got a lad who I'll show you who's got good potential and could be a very good goalkeeper in the future. So no real problem with throwing him in if we have to. So let's have a look at the playing squad then. David Stockdale, the 28-year-old, and his stats are very good. No complaints here whatsoever. I'll show you the report. Considered to be a 3.5-star goalkeeper, a leading player for most Sky Bet Championship sides. But here's a little point for you. Judging ability and judging potential is 8 for Nathan Jones, who we're looking at right now. That is a rating of 8 out of 20. So how accurate these stats are, it's a little bit tough to tell. You kind of have to look at these numbers that you got in front of you here. So Stockdale, very happy to have him in there. A bit of Premier League experience, was at Fulham the year before and played about half of the games, so no complaints there. Christian Walton, the 18-year-old, is the backup goalkeeper that I've decided to bump up. Show you his report. Leading player for most Sky Bet League 2 sides, so he's not going to be at the level that we need him to be if he has to step in the Championship. But potential ability, 4 to 5 stars, which we will definitely take. See if anyone's got some better numbers. So 11 and 12, 12 and 12. Just finding out who I should be looking at coach reports from. Ray Wilkins it is then. So yeah, agreeing with me. Only 1-star ability at the moment, but potential ability is 4 to 5 stars. So very happy with that. And he's got a lot of time to grow. Stockdale we could probably get 4 or 5 years out of, unless we get promoted to the Premier League. Then it's a balancing act, but we've got money to play with. Adam Chickson is still sticking around mainly for cover. Not the best left back that we have, but he is probably second best in terms of options. So he's sticking around, still got a bit of room to develop. Currently 2 stars with the potential to move up to 3. But at 22, there's not a whole lot of improvement he really can make. So polishing is needed. But very quick, very pacey. Tackling and marking numbers are all right. So now he'll do a job, and crossing 10, not amazing, but not horrible. He's not going to be sticking every cross in the stand. Right, centre backs. So I've got 2 centre backs here. Aaron Hughes, vastly experienced. Let me have a look where. Again, largely at Fulham. Bit of time at Newcastle before that, but most of his experience, over 400 appearances, have been in the Premier League, which is awesome. So we're getting a slightly ageing player. As you can see, his pace numbers and acceleration numbers down at 11 and agility down at 10. So not the quickest. And well, let's see, heading and tackling stats though at 14, so no complaints there. Good solid defender. Marking 12, yeah, again not bad for this sort of level. Good mental stats, so he's going to be rotating in with the other centre backs. Club captain Gordon Greer is similar kind of line, slightly slower, but good strength, good jumping, heading and tackling both at 14, marking at 12. So very similar numbers. Club captain, as I say, as well. Got Lewis Dunk, 22-year-old. Again, a centre-back. Going to be rotating in. Heading at 13, tackling at 12, marking at 10. Maybe needs a bit of bolstering. But he's got a couple of points extra on acceleration and pace compared to the other 2. So it might be handy putting him alongside either Greer or Hughes. And also, as cover, I've got Abdullah Faye the ex-Stoke man, who, again, his pace and his acceleration aren't fantastic. And agility is 7, so translating into real terms, it's like the X on Valdez turning if you put a ball in behind him. But 17 heading, 15 marking, 15 tackling. So he is the best defender of the bunch, and also has the best mental stats of the lot, I would say, just going off a quick glance. So he's going to be rotating in. Him, Greer and Hughes are on a similar kind of level. Dunk's still got a bit of way to go, but the pace is going to help and will be very useful to have that cover. Got a couple of ageing Spaniards at right back. So first choice is 33-year-old Bruno. And we can see what he's got here. So good first touch, long throws 18. Interesting stat, not one that I particularly look at, but in the Gillingham series in particular, long throws is something I have been unstuck by, so it could be something that will be useful. And his pace numbers still aren't bad, 13 and 14 for his age. We will start to see some drop off in here, but 16 stamina still as well, so still in very good shape. Good mental numbers, as you'd expect. Decent with the crossing and the technique, passing as well, so he's going to be able to give us something going forward. And tackling is decent, marking is decent, nothing to write home about. Decent header of the ball as well, so a very well-rounded player, which I'm happy with. Vice captain Inigo Calderon, 32, was a bit of a scalp for Brighton when they first got him. And I thought really well done to that, and it turns out they've got someone even better in now. Age starting to catch up with him a bit, but again, decent speed numbers, good stamina. Not quite as good a defender or as good creatively going forward as Bruno, which is why he's the rotation option at right back. And with these two, I'm going to have to start looking long term for options. Just to throw it out there as well, actually, the plan for this series, The first season, I'm just going to take it as it comes, see how we get on, and it's really just a chance to do something different to the Gillingham series, which I've hit hard over the last week or so. And yeah, just get some variety in there and try and actually meet some board expectations, because I'm rooted to the bottom of the table in that Gillingham series at the moment, and it would be nice to have some positive things to talk about. So that's what we're trying to achieve here. Mostly going to be looking at signing younger players that can stick around for a bit and have a bit of a future. A lot of the squad is made up of players of that sort of ilk. But also, as you can see from Fi, who is one of the few players that I bought in, I will be looking to strengthen and bring in short-term options as cover or to fill positions if need be for more experienced heads. Right, next up then, so first loan signing, very excited to have Joe Bennett, the Aston Villa left back. I can't remember which team I was playing for, but I was trying for ages and ages to try and get him. I think it might have been Leicester, first season where I got them promoted up to the Championship. I was trying to get Joe Bennett, and no matter what I did, I just couldn't offer the wages to tempt him to come to us, which is gutting. And as you can see here, his pace numbers are a little bit down from when I was looking at him. They're only 14 pace. I think it was about 17 or 18 at the time. Acceleration's still up at that. But with pace like that, I thought he was going to scare anyone, whatever he could do. And his crossing and dribbling numbers aren't too bad either. Neither is his tackling or his marking. Would have liked to have seen a little bit better numbers in the defensive areas. I've covered this on a few videos before, but my main priority for my fullbacks is that they can defend and be solid and be in position. And if they can create anything going forward, fantastic. It's a bonus. So I do look heavily at those defensive numbers, and Joe Bennett is a little bit more forward-minded, I think you could say, but never mind, I don't think it's going to affect us too much. Danny Holler, so the Dutchman, can play defensive midfield or central midfield. I will just jump into the reports because we get half-decent information from Ray Wilkins, which is good to know. Defensive midfielder is the best option. I may end up using a defensive midfielder once we get our Norwegian wonder kid in, but not so much for the time being. As far as central midfielders, Wilkins rates him as the best of the three, the main three that we have. But there's not a whole lot in it, to be honest. 26-year-old, so not going to develop much further. He's probably found his level here, but we will take it. And very well-rounded player, good long shots, good penalty taking, so set pieces we're looking towards. Good creative numbers, flair is again half decent. That whole mental stats column is pretty much where you'd like it to be. The only thing that he's kind of lacking on is pace, so he's not going to scare anyone by running at them, but it doesn't matter, we can let this guy drift around and get involved in everything, throwing a few tackles, create stuff, which is quite a nice situation to have. It's not the first time that I've been lacking a little bit in a creative force, and I think that's particularly important as I show you this next player who I'm a huge fan of. Now age 30, the Welshman, 27 appearances for Wales and over 175 appearances, I think it was, for the club I've supported since the age of 6, Gillingham. This is Andy Crofts. Central midfielder, can also play defensive midfield. Some very standout stats in his in his mental column. Teamwork 15, work rate 16, determination 17, and bravery 16. Crofts is one of those players, for us, he wasn't all that skillful by any stretch. He's not that creative, as you can see from his numbers. His passing, his flair is nothing special, but he would be the one person you'd want standing next to you in the trenches if you're in a proper relegation battle or something. always willing to work, always willing to run, and considering he's a midfielder, you would not expect him to win the amount of headers and score the amount of goals from set pieces as he did, but he would always be willing to get in there and win some headers and stick him in the back of the net for us. So a real workhorse, going to get in there and break up the play, which is fine. We need someone like that, and he's one of those players that unfortunately doesn't get that much recognition because he can win you games without doing anything that sort of excites the average fan, and you have to really get anal about your football and how the whole dynamic of a team works before you pick that up. But really happy to have him in there, and as long as I pair him up with someone that's a bit more creative, then perfect, the sky's the limit. Okay, next up, Rowan Ince. Not quite sure what's going to happen with him. 21-year-old. Good stats out here in the physicals, but everything else is a little bit ropey. Defensive midfielder, can also play in the centre. I think the main reason I've decided not to just offload him is he has got the potential to develop by, another 2 stars and could be very dangerous coming forward. But try to work out how I'm going to get the lad football. Could also play centre back or central midfield, but not particularly well. Decent player at championship level, and he's got the potential to be a good Premier League defensive midfielder in the future, but with his age there's not a whole lot of time left for that to happen, to be honest, as he's now hit his 20s. I know that's a terrible thing to say, that once you start hitting your early 20s you're kind of getting to the limit of how much you can improve, but that's kind of the way it seems to go with football managers. So I'm a little bit questionable about what's going to happen with him and how I'm going to get him enough football to get that development. I might actually, while we're at it, offer to clubs, loan offer. See if you have any joy with that, getting some first team football. Right, Jake Hessenthaler. Now this was a bit of a gamble. I bought him in on a loan because Jake Hessenthaler, player I'm a big fan of, having watched him a couple of times, and he's been a good player for me in the Gillingham series as well, and I thought he might be able to make the step up, but unfortunately looking at his stats and his potential to develop, no, that's not going to happen at all. The potential's there for him to sort of develop, but pretty much to be a very good League One level of player, but potentially to be a quality player, says Wilkins. He seems to rate his chance of developing a little further, and only aged 20. The reason I like him is, having seen him play a couple of times, he just has this presence and is able to get the extra second or two on the ball that most players don't in the lower leagues, and that's what I particularly like about him. So we got him on loan for the season, so a chance for him to get involved in our training system, where we've got very good training facilities, and if we start to see development out of him, then I might well end up pulling the trigger and making that permanent, since it's only going to cost me sort of 100 to 200k probably to bring him in, but we'll see how it all moves on. Now, this guy, can't pronounce his name, but from the Congo. With him, good marking stats, which is fairly interesting, but again can play defensive midfield, decent passing, very good tackling, good mental stats, and gives you quite a bit going forward as well, pace wise. So this is going to be an interesting mix as to whether I put him in. Rated below Andy Crofts, but I think Toko gives us the same kind of elements that Crofts does, where he can get in, move around, break the play up, but he's also got a bit of extra pace and ability to push forward. So we're going to be doing a bit of rotation in the midfield, I think, and I think jury's out on how Toko's going to perform and what sort of role he's going to play. Paddy McCourt, 30-year-old attacking midfielder on the left. Let me just see how he stacks up, actually. Kind of level with Kazenga Luar. So it's going to be a bit of a rotation. Pretty much when I looked at my squad, I thought the one area I need to strengthen is right midfield, attacking right midfield. I was kind of happy with the rotation options that I had on the left side. So this is one of them, Paddy McCourt. A little bit slow on the pace side, but he's got good dribbling, good finishing, first touch. So he's got a lot of elements that I like here, and 16 passing. So, along with 14 flair. So very creative. If we stick him out on the wing, he's going to make some things happen for us, even though he hasn't got the pace to go past people, which is something I like. Dale Stephens, injured at the moment, out for 2 to 4 months, but once he's back, he will be a player that will be competing for one of those central midfield spots. Again, gives us what we need. If he plays alongside Crofts, he's got 14 passing, he's got some creative stuff to offer to us, and good mental stats already. So, yeah, he's going to be in there in the mix, no doubt. The other signing that I bought in, Miroslav Stevanovic. So 24-year-old, and this was the guy that I bought in to fix my right midfield issue. A couple of options were available: Jermaine Pennant, Simão, the Portuguese player who's 34, but I did want to try and stick with the youth. Stevanovic has still got some improving to do, but not a lot, to be honest, with his age. Could get another half a star notched on, but has some international experience, 10 appearances and 1 goal for Bosnia-Herzegovina. And have a look at his numbers. Again, not blessed with bags of pace, but he's quick enough. He's quicker than McCourt for a start over on the other wing. Again, good creative numbers. Passing is a little, maybe a little low, but we want him to be banging those crosses in, which he can do. Again, decent mental stats. So a very solid player for us, and really plugged a gap for players that we just didn't have in that area. Jordan Maguire-Drew, attacking midfielder or striker, 16-year-old. I've stuck him in there so he's training with the senior team, because we haven't got a great youth setup as far as training staff. A lot of room to grow, but potentially 5.5 stars compared to the players that we've got here. Although, of course, it is going to take a long time for him to develop to that. Solly March, 20-year-old, going to be rotating in, and quite versatile, can play any of the 2 wide players, or the 2 wide roles, so he's going to be rotating in. He's the best attacking central midfielder that we've got in the side, but not going to be using that setup for the time being. Going to try and work a 4-2-4 and see how we get on with that. But as we can see here again, dribbling is decent, crossing is a little bit low, long shot, so he's much more set up for playing a central role, I think you could say. But got 14 passing, 14 flair, and very good pace numbers, so he's got some things he could offer in the wide positions as well. Kazenga Luar going to be probably taking the vast amount of the minutes on that left wing. 16 long shots for cutting inside. Dribbling is good. Passing is lacking, but 18 flair and 8 acceleration with 17 pace. Lightning quick, very dangerous. He's got the ability to run at people, but he's also got some end product to him. As far as long shots and finishing goes, would have liked his passing and crossing numbers to be slightly better, which is how, which is a big reason why McCourt's going to get some rotation in, because of his extra creative abilities out on that left side. But a good option to have, and gives me options on the left wing. Idager Johnson, brought him in on trial and had a bit of a look, but based on the players we've got, he's not going to be sticking with us, unfortunately. He can play in multiple positions, but they're all positions where I'm quite happy with the options, and we've got cover, so no such luck there for him, unfortunately. And then to our strikers, we've got no one particularly stand out, but we have got 4 good players that we can use and rotate in. So Adrian Colunga, the Spaniard, no caps for Spain, but it's a tough team to get into. He's quick off the mark, 15 acceleration, pace once he gets up to speed isn't fantastic, but he's got 17 flair, knows where the goal is, long shots are decent, passing's decent, technique is good, so he's he can put the ball in the back of the net. He's got a little bit of burst off the line to get in behind, and he can also play and work with someone and pick up a few assists as well. So happy to have him in there. Club record signing Craig McCall-Smith, the Scotsman. So his stats actually aren't quite as good, as I thought they might be as far as finishing goes. But again, he's pacey and quick. Got the ability to get in behind and cause some damage for us. But as you can see, his stats aren't as well rounded as Kalunga's. Not quite as versatile up there. Chris O'Grady is going to be a little bit behind these two by the looks of things. Hasn't got the same amount of pace to him, but plenty of green in that middle column. Technique is decent, finishing is decent, and he's got the better heading of the other two. So if we decide we want to start pumping balls into a big man, go for a more direct approach, then he is going to be a very decent choice, I would say. Fair amount over 6 foot. He's like 6'4", I think, trying to work out the calculation. And also we've got 25-year-old Sam Baldock, who again is in a similar kind of mould to the others. So got pace, got good finishing, got decent mental stats. So it's really going to be 3 players in Baldock, McCall-Smith and Kalunga who are in a similar-ish kind of mould. Kalunga's probably going to get the nod over the other two. On the basis that he gives us a little bit more creatively and has generally more well-rounded stats and more to offer. Will O'Grady be going in alongside? Well, I'm not too sure we need a target man as such, so we'll probably play either McCall-Smith or Baldock and really just get some rotation in there. But unless he hits a poor patch of form or the others can't stop scoring, Kalunga's pretty much got his name on the team sheet as far as attacking options go. Right, okay, so that is pretty much everyone on the team. That's all I need to show you. We are at the point of the first game as of right now. So actually, I will show you. I was thinking we've done half an hour, I'll call it, but I'll give you one quick game to have a look at, as we are at the point where I am sorted and set with who my team's going to be. So suggestion is for Kalunga and Baldock to start up front. I'm going to change it up and put McCall-Smith up there. So Stevanovic and Luar. Crofts and Toko been put in. I'm going to stick Danny Holler in there. So Greer and Dunk. Di-Fi is going to get a run out here. Joe Bennett. Bruno. Yep, fine. Might be a chance for Jake Hessenthaler to get his first run out, but we'll see how that pans out going forward. So let's get to it then. Fairly attacking 4-2-4 formation. I haven't actually put team instructions in, so I'll do that just before we kick off with this game. Okay, so team instructions, we'll try and retain possession, go with the shorter passing. Right, what else have we got? And then I want to drop deeper because we're playing quite an attacking formation. I don't want to get caught on the break too much. Let's go then, we're underway. Abdullah Faye already chopped someone within the first 20 seconds. Stevanovic already getting crocked. But he'll be right, he should be able to shake that off. So Holler, free kick up and over. Lualua picking up a knock as well. Probably push him to half time, see how he gets on. Now I've got my court available, so Lualua trying to make use of his long shots ability. High and wide though. Another chance to run with it. McCall-Smith, bottom corner. Very tidy little finish. As I said, record signing for the club a couple of seasons ago. Not sure if he still is or if they've spent more money on someone else yet. Cross to Loa. Again, running at people, going for the long shot, long range effort. Would like to see a little more end product than that, but he's very dangerous if nothing else. Defenders don't want to get near him. Mikhail Smith to Kalunga. Skews it very wide. Half an hour gone and we've got the better rub of this game so far. Hollow up to Stevanovic. Cutting inside to Kalunga. Real midfield battle. It looks like most of our players are getting banged around in the midfield and it's not going anywhere. Yellow cards are plenty. Bruno, chance to create something. Nice one-touch passing. Mikhail Smith had a chance to add his second and get the brace. Mikhail Smith through to Kalunga. Tries to feed Stevanovic. Goes for goal and out for a corner. Holler lifting it in. Chance for a Sheffield Wednesday break here though. Slightly over-ambitious ball there and it goes out to a throw-in. So we've pretty much been bossing this game but only managed to get the one goal on the board. So tell the lads to keep it up but keep my fingers crossed for another goal while we're at it. I'm going to throw... Oh dear. Didn't put him on the bench. Okay, well let's give Solly March a run out because he's got, again, enough pace to cause some serious damage on the run. Didn't put Paddy McCourt on the bench. My bad. Lesson learned from that straight off the bat. Mikhail Smith to Stevanovic going for a goal on debut. Good save from Stockdale. Slightly questionable defending though. What a surprise, one of my teams looked shaky at the back. Gordon Greer in the book. Dangerous area for a free kick but goes straight into the wall. Yellow cards being collected in bunches in this game. Although most of them go in the way of Wednesday. We've only got the one so far. Stevanovic with a robust clearance, I think you could say. Catch in practice for Stockdale back at the other end. I'm quite happy to take shots from there. I think what's quite surprising about the actual, well, maybe not surprising because they did pick up Darren Bent on loan from Aston Villa, but I'm quite surprised that the actual Brighton let Craig Mikhail Smith go on loan to Peterborough. Bit of a questionable move there, I think. But then again, if you've got Darren Bent and he's anywhere near the form that we know he can be, or I know he can be anyway, then especially at championship level, that'd be a great pickup. More yellow cards, this is crazy. Pretty much everyone's got one. I'm going to make a little move and get Stevanovic off. I know there's only 5 minutes left in it, but stick O'Grady in there for the last 5. So we just lost 2 left wingers. Ugh, okay, I didn't want that to happen. Give Jake Hessenthaler a very short run out of position since we've only got a minute left to play. Cal Smith out wide to Bruno. To O'Grady, back Holler. Oh, got under it. Skewed it wide. And with the last 10-15 seconds of the game burning away, we do pick up a nice solid clean sheet for a start, which is rare for one of my teams. And a 1-0 win at home. So can't be too disappointed by that, and puts us up to 7th and well and truly in the mix. So Walsall Capital One Cup coming up next. I will probably take a day off for Christmas Day. I think that's allowed. So it may well be a day or two before the next part comes in. So Solly March only out for 9 to 12 days and 6 to 8 days for Loire Loire, so not the end of the world. And Brentford want Rowan Ince on loan, so yeah, I will quite happily accept that, try and get him some first team football. But yeah, as I say, if you're watching this properly live, I'm going to enjoy Christmas Day and not worry about YouTube too much. So in a couple of days, we'll continue this on, and it will continue like the Gillingham series where I'll show you every game unless you guys tell me otherwise. So if you want me to do it a different way, then let me know in the comment section below. Give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In very full flow, there is a Gillingham series, my boyhood club, which we're up to about 20 parts on now, or we've got 20 parts recorded anyway, that are going to be starting to roll on. So that's in full swing. Be good to have you guys on board and get a little more support behind that. And if there's anything else you'd like me to run as well, any other teams, then let me know. And if it interests me, I will start a series on that as well. Thank you very much.